Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob. When we ask the question, when did big tech go full dystopian? When did they fully embrace their dystopian future and decide that was the thing to pitch the world on? It's weird. Again, I'm literally almost 49, getting close to 50. So I've been in this tech revolution all of my life, right? When I was born, when I was very young, we had 8-track tapes, we had records, we went to tape players. I remember CDs were brand new. Again, I remember my father, because he was a PhD engineer, and he literally said when I was like 6 years old, he was like, Eli, we're gonna get a computer for the home. And not only can you type on it, but you can play games too. Now, when we're talking about games, we're not talking about Assassin's Creed or Doom or even chess probably. It was like Minesweeper circa 1983 or whatever. But anyways, the interesting thing of how technology was whatever the outcome ended up being, which wasn't always good, at least the sales pitch for it was, very utopian, right? The idea is that we would have the internet and basically we would have the library of the world basically at our fingertips. We've ended up with propaganda and misinformation and invasion of our privacy and all of that kind of stuff. But the important thing to understand is it was sold originally as the idea is we'd have the library of the world basically at our desktop computer back in the day. Again, if you look at Facebook, before the psychological experiments and everything else, and the young women committing suicide, and the Rohingya Muslims being massacred so that Mark Zuckerberg could get just a little bit more blood money. Remember the Facebook executive that literally said, as the Rohingya Muslims were being slaughtered because of the messages being posted on Facebook, he said, well, sometimes you have to crack a few eggs. That's right, boys and girls. Facebook saw Rohingya Muslims as a few eggs that happened to be cracked in order for them to get their blood money. But here's the thing. Did it end up in blood money and eggs getting cracked? Yes. But in the beginning, it started off as corgi butts. Like when I got onto Facebook in 2009, I got on there and there was no politics. There wasn't the rest of this. I literally got on there to share pictures of my corgis. And there was this whole community of corgi lovers. And we would share corgi ass pics. We all have our own fetishes. Right? That's what it was sold. You like corgi butt or chihuahua butt or whatever. You can come together. You can create an international community around the things that you love. Again, ended up where it ended up. But, the original dream, right? Again, virtual reality. I never bought virtual reality, but again, the dream, what you were being sold, right? Mark Zuckerberg used to say, it will be just like sitting right beside the court on an NBA game or being on a mountaintop. Said by a guy who's probably never been on a mountaintop. But, the sales pitch was nice, right? If you're a paraplegic or if you're just lame, you can slap these things on your goggles on your face and you can hike Everest too. To be clear, you weren't hiking Everest too, but it was the sales pitch. Again, and then we saw Nerdgasm. Poor Jerry Berg. Poor Jerry Berg. Go watch the video. There is this video of Nerdgasm, Jerry Berg. He's a bit of an overweight geek. Again, great guy, incredibly smart guy. Also a wee bit overweight. Yeah, he was playing with the HTC Vive. So one of his buddies had the HTC Vive, and this was like 8 years ago, and when it was still hard to get your hands on. And he put this thing on, and he was playing like Fruit Ninja or whatever. He literally sweated so much with this thing on, he killed the headset. He killed the headset from his own sweat. It's on the video. This isn't like some back channel thing I'm not supposed to talk. It's in the video itself. Right, so the idea was this visionary, and then you end up killing your goggles with sweat. Again, even I think about this like with Tesla, right? Tesla, right? The idea what we were sold on, right, is electric cars, right? Internal combustion engines are the number one most dangerous thing in the world when it comes to climate change. Probably not, but again, it's an argument. Again, Tesla is the electric vehicle of the future. This is the vehicle that you can drive and you can be proud. Because not only are you driving a good vehicle, I own one, they're shit, but you can say you're driving a good vehicle, but you can also say you are trying to save the planet, right? The company of Tesla is a company about saving the planet. It's not a car company. It's a world salvation company. Again, I don't know, we start there. There's a lot of discussion and argument. But again, the pitch. That was the pitch at least. And then the funny thing is, you know how Elon Musk, changes everything in the tech world. Do you notice how Tesla went from the world salvation company to the AI company? And the AI company now is basically going to take our jobs. Like literally, it went from Tesla being the company that was going to save the world to Tesla being the company that is going to destroy your reason for existence. And it's weird how dystopian things have become. And it's getting pitched as dystopian. So before, it was pitched as utopian, and then reality got in the way, and we got what we got. The curious thing now is how many of these technology companies are actually kind of like from the get-go being pitched as dystopian. Again, we take a look at Tesla. Again, it's not a car company. It's an AI company. What is that AI company going to do? Take your job. It's not gonna, and it's interesting, like with this whole AI thing, because we have a terminally ill family member, brain cancer. Don't pick that one. Don't pick that one. Anyways, right, there's a lot of work that has to be done with somebody that has brain cancer. The whole bathroom thing, the whole shower thing, getting people out of bed when they don't realize half their body is their own. It's very, very weird, right? And the interest, you notice this with AI? You notice with AI? You don't hear Tesla or any of these AI companies talking about their robots. How their robots will help incapacitated people take a poop so that you don't have to deal with it. Like, I don't think anybody would complain about that job. Hey, yeah, you have this terminally ill person and it's very difficult for them to get to the bathroom. So we're going to have this robot and it's just going to help them go to the bathroom so you don't have to worry about it. You notice they never talk about that kind of thing. They never talk about how the robots are going to take the jobs that we really don't want. Again, originally the concept was robots were going to take the jobs in the incredibly toxic environments or the incredibly dangerous environments or that kind of stuff. Now all you hear about is that AI is just going to take your job and every job out there, right? Your accountant, gone. Doctor, gone. This, gone. That, gone. The other thing, gone, right? Again, it was interesting with, I was at a Web Summit Vancouver, and I got mansplained. I went to, they have these night summit parties that are actually pretty cool. Like, if you go to Web Summit, go to the parties, at least to do the tourist thing. You get to go to cool areas you probably didn't know existed, however long you stay at the party itself. The parties are weird, but the areas are nice. Anyway, so I went there, and I was tired after a day of doing stuff, and I was just kind of propping myself up, listening to music, and I got mansplained. Again, all you girls out there, and you people that don't look like me, and you're like, why do white guys mansplain me? Don't take it personally. They do it to everybody. They do it to fucking everybody. You don't know how many times I'm just sitting there as somebody who looks a lot like me, splains the world. And again, I'm getting close to 50. I've been doing technology since 1996. I've run my own business. I'm world famous. I'm almost 50. I'm married. I got a house. I got a hell of a lot of lived experience. And I'm still getting mansplained too. So if you're a 19-year-old black woman in the professional world, don't worry. It doesn't get any better. Don't take it personally. Anyways, I was getting mansplained. this guy, and he was just talking about AI was going to take all the jobs. And you all know how I feel about AI. AI is a feature set. Again, it's a powerful feature set. Will it change things? Yes. Did data lakes change things? Yes. Did relational databases change things? Yes. Did auto attendance change things? Yes. Has anybody cried for the telephone receptionists that got laid off 20 years ago when they got replaced for a $400 system? It's amazing how nobody gives a shit about the telephone receptionist. But when technology comes from your job, that's the end of the world. Anyways, by the intro, I was just getting this mansplain about how AI was going to be so different. And the thing that I found fascinating about this, especially with the younger technology people, is that they're just like embracing the dystopia. Like, I look at AI, again, it's not AI. I look at these systems that we term AI, and I think they're pretty cool. They're just not AI. They're just going to be worth what they're worth. But they're still cool, right? Again, natural language process, a highly advanced natural language processing systems so that I can easily talk to my computer, talk to my device, and it can easily return a response. And it all is very seamless. I can speak in any language, whether I am a professor level in the university system, or I have some mental disability, I can barely fucking speak, right? These LLMs can actually process that information and kind of sort of figure out what the hell you're talking about. That is amazing. Again, when we start talking about things like computer vision, again, we start going into healthcare and those kinds of things. Being able to have imaging systems where even if it's not the final call on whether you have cancer or whatever else, is that you can process these things a hell of a lot quicker. And again, if you have one radiologist and that radiologist only has their experience to go by, so their learning and their experience to go by, then that's the data set they have. Whereas again, the argument for IBM Watson, again, IBM, this was a good argument. What the fuck happened to this argument? Anyways, there's IBM Watson, healthcare, from like 12 years ago. I don't know what happened to it. I would have invested in that. This is why I'm not a startup investor. Anyways, the idea was, right, like what if you had a system that had the data set of 1 billion? Right? Think about all the people who get cancer in the world every year. Imagine all the x-rays that are taken. Imagine if all that can be put into the system, all of it can be tagged, all the information can be there year over year after year after year. And so you plug in this x-ray that comes in from somebody, and it now doesn't have a data set of one human being's half a career. It now has the data set of blah. Right? Like, that's amazing. Like, oh, gee, I'm the snarky one. This is what I don't understand in the world. I'm the snarky evil one. Anyways, again, with quote unquote AI, there's just a tremendous amount of potential out there to do really amazing things. Again, I talk about this with my doctor. I talk about like with healthcare, right? I saw my doctor today. I haven't seen her in 3 years. I haven't seen her in 3 years. Why? Because I'm healthy. I eat well. I eat mostly vegan. I run 9 miles every other day. I'm going to do a half marathon at the end of the week, right? I do de-stress. I don't drink a lot of alcohol. I don't do these things, right? I have a fucking nickel allergy. If I eat too much cauliflower, I get eczema. That kind of sucks. I have a back injury from a car accident. I have elbow injury from martial arts. I have a wrist injury from the military. I have a neck injury from lots of different things. But anyways, right? Here's the thing, right? I go to the doctor. She does this. She does this. She looks at my ears. I get to poop in the box. Hey, I'm old enough to poop in a box. I got the poop in the box. You know, it's always a gamble. Either they're going to send a camera up your hoo-ha, or you get to poop in the box. I won the lottery. I get to poop in the box. If you don't know what I'm talking about, be happy you're young. Anyways, poop in the box. Here's the thing. I barely ever see a doctor. Even when I do see a doctor, it's rather minimal crap. Again, eczema or whatever else. I spend $6,000 a year in health insurance. Give me some cream, doc. Anyways, imagine if I could just have an AI doctor to deal with the basic things. Again, your yearly physical. Imagine you can just sit in a device. It will listen to your different things. It will do your blood pressure. It will ask you a couple of questions. It will say, this is your age. These are the blood tests that you need. You go off. It does a blood test. If everything looks pretty good and you feel fine, that's all you do. And then imagine, again, if it's an automated system. So right now I have to go see a doctor, right? So that's a receptionist that has to deal with me. That's a doctor that has to deal with me, right? There's a lot of human resources there. So one of the issues you run into in the healthcare world for people that do have things like cancer or whatever else is that whole idea of when did you catch the cancer? When did you catch the disease? So if you're only doing a yearly physical, or every 3-year physical, the way I've been doing it. The thing is, something could have a long time to grow, right? If a cancer starts right after your physical, it will have 11 months to grow until your next physical again, right? If we massively reduce the resources required in order to get the output that a doctor provides, then you could start having physicals every 3 months. How much healthier would we be as a society if every quarter we had a basic physical? Every quarter, you go to a doc box, not even a doc in a box, a doc box, you sit down, it does all your stuff, asks you if you have any problems. Again, blood tests or whatever else. Okay, we noticed your cholesterol was a little high last time, blah, blah, blah. So we're just gonna grab that this time. All the numbers go into the system. You're now being checked 4 times a year versus being checked 1 time a year or 1 time every 3 years, right? How would the automation of basic healthcare diagnostics massively improve the health of so many folks? Again, it's interesting right now with the person that's dying of terminal brain cancer. Bad way to go. They think she got it in December, right? She is most likely started growing in December. February, March, they noticed there were like weird problems. Again, she's a bit older. She's an older member of the family. So there was like some weird memory stuff. But she's also an older member of the family. Again, older member of the family starts to have like weird memory stuff. No big deal. Then it actually started getting noticeable. Then once it got to be noticeable, they did a doctor appointment. When they went to the doctor appointment, I said, oh, that's probably something to look at. So they set her up for an MRI. Literally set her ass up for an MRI. Right? So they got through this process, set her up for an MRI, got the MRI to say, oh crap, you do have brain cancer. And 2 days later, she was in so much pain. She went from like, I wonder what this is, to so much pain that she had to go to the hospital, have a surgery, and now it's spiraling into blah. And an interesting thing, again, with that, we talk about the automation of healthcare, is with chemo and radiation, they can pause the cancer for a while. They can't make it better, which is, again, the real world. Adulting sucks. So here's the thing, right? Once you give the radiation and the cancer, you can prolong life for up to 1.5 years, possibly 2 years, but it stops the cancer where it's at. It won't go any farther for a long time once you start treatment. The issue is, again, on the downhill slide, where did the cancer get caught? If the cancer had gotten caught in March, they put her on chemo and radiation, they stopped the downhill slide then how she was in March for another 1.5 years, 2 years, it's not too bad. Hey, didn't fucking catch it in March. So now the question is, 1.5 years or 2 years of where you're at. But anyways, right, this is the amazing stuff of automation. Whether you call it AI, whether you call it automation, anyway, LLM versus data lake. At the end of the day, it's technology making lives better. And the interesting thing is, right, is in the modern technology world, when I talk with so many young people, they don't see a better future. How fucked up is this? Like I used to be considered the nasty geek because I explained the reality of what we actually do. You do know what we do, right? Our job is to get people fired. You know that's the point of efficiency. Our job is to make systems more efficient. Making systems more efficient means less people are required to do the same amount of work. Ergo, asses get fired. Anyways, right? I used to be the mean guy for saying that stuff like that. I would say stuff like that, and people would lose their minds. Oh, no, technology is wonderful and good, and we should all be passionate about it. I don't know, something's happened over the past couple of years. And now I talk to young technology professionals. My God, they are sad, they are depressed, technology is evil. Again, that's the thing. Like, technology is not going to, AI isn't going to make healthcare systems better. AI isn't going to make transportation systems better. AI isn't going to do all these things to make, no, they're going to take away jobs and destroy our society, and it's worse than nuclear weapons and the whole 9 yards. And it's just it's fascinating to listen to modern technology people, literally, as they pitch this world on complete and utter dystopia. And yeah, I wonder how that happened. And why I bring that up, going back to Facebook, because when we talk about technology and we talk about evil blood money, it always goes back to Facebook. Yes, so this is the post from Anduril and Meta. So Anduril and Meta are teaming up together to create better technological systems to, quite literally, kill brown people. And this right here, I just feels like big tech 2025. They're just, this isn't like, oh, well, the Israeli government bought licenses for Azure. And how am I supposed to know what they're using those licenses for? No, this is like, no, we're gonna use civilian tech to kill people. So I think this is curious for any number of reasons, and I find it hilarious because it is Facebook. It's not Google getting into this or Snap getting into this. We're like, oh, weird. But it's the absolute most evil piece of crap in big tech, most likely. Teaming up with the Silicon Valley arms company to come together to kill some brown people. Anduril and Meta team up to transform XR, so extended reality, right? There's VR, virtual reality, AR, augmented reality, MR, merged reality, XR is extended reality. Anyways, for the American military. So all you Facebook employees out there, I expect to see apartheid in your e-signatures really soon. Show us how much you really care about people not being slaughtered. Anyway, so yeah, this is coming from Anduril. Anduril and Meta team up. So Meta, because it's called Meta, right? Facebook turned into Meta because it was supposed to be the metaverse, and the metaverse failed, right? Mark Zuckerberg put tens of billions of dollars into the metaverse. Nobody cared, or very few people cared, and so now he's trying to figure out how to get his money back. And hey, if there's one thing that the U.S. technology industry has figured out, is that if you have a failed product that you've lost money on, you can somehow push it out into the wider world in order to get your money back, regardless of how much evil it may or may not do. And I do find this to be fascinating, because again, Meta is a consumer-grade company. So all of you out there, all you snot-nosed little brats, right, that were bitching and whining and complaining, because I talked about dumbasses at Microsoft putting apartheid in their actual auto signatures for email on corporate email systems. I do expect you to all dump Facebook tomorrow, right? If you're anti-genocide, dump Facebook, dump Instagram, dump WhatsApp, dump anything that Meta is attached to. And if you don't do that, you just proved my point. Anyways, Anduril and Meta are partnering to design, build, and field a range of integrated XR products that provide war fighters with enhanced perception and enable intuitive control of autonomous platforms on the battlefield. And again, remember, when we talk about the battlefield, Trump wanted to send American soldiers into the Gaza Strip. Just know Just fucking no. The capabilities enabled by the partnership will draw on more than a decade of investment by both companies in advanced hardware, software, and artificial intelligence. The effort has been funded through private capital without taxpayer support and is designed to save the U.S. military billions of dollars by utilizing high-performance components and technology originally built for commercial use. So again, we talk about dual-use products. One of the reasons that the United States is trying to beat the crap out of China is China sells products to Russia that are dual-use. Who knows who's going to use that refrigerator? Is it going to be a single mom in Moscow using that refrigerator? Or is it going to be a soldier trying to kill Ukrainians using that refrigerator? We're going to sanction you. I do find this to be a fascinating thing in the technology world, is with this whole dual use thing that's coming along. Because again, remember, for my generation, the technology used to be very separate. Again, when I was in the Army and we had GPS systems, that was not your GPS system. Again, night vision goggles, I don't even think you could buy night vision goggles in the civilian world, right? Ones that were worth a damn, right? Military equipment and civilian equipment were just two entirely different worlds in many, many, many different ways. I guess Motorola would create radios and things. We had Motorola radios for things, but most of it wasn't really dual use, right? There was the military world. Like when you dealt with military radio systems, they had nothing to do with anything you dealt with in the civilian world. And the civilian world didn't really have a lot to do with what was in the military world. What's curious now, again, as technology has improved and things have moved on, is how much more of this technology can be used for dual use. I think about this just with the quality of the construction, the quality of the equipment, because that was the thing. Like back in the day, like we had ruggedized equipment, right? So you could buy a radio from Motorola for, let's say, $1,000. If you were a civilian, you could buy a high quality radio from Motorola for $1,000. In the Army, for my unit, I think they were $4,000. It was literally $3,000 of ruggedization. Right? $3,000 of you're going to give this to an 18-year-old grunt and you'd like it to last more than 2 weeks, right? The curious thing is with a lot of this technology is it's just become more robust, more stable, and in many ways inexpensive, so easier to replace as years go by. There was a book called, I think, When the Heavens Went on Sale. That was very interesting. It was talking about, I think it was a company called Planet Labs, and that's one of the things that they realized was that off-the-shelf electronic hardware was actually rugged enough you could ship it off into space. Right, so that was the thing, right? When you're dealing with NASA or you're dealing with NSO or something like that, and they're going to ship up a spy satellite or something of the sort, you know, they would ruggedize the hell out of the equipment. They'd have incredibly specialized electronics and the rest of it to make sure it could survive in the space environment. And that costs a lot of money. Again, if you go look at Cisco, don't think about Motorola. If you look at Cisco, if you look at just Cisco business class wireless networking equipment, it'll be one cost. If you look at light industrial networking equipment, so the same networking functionality but more ruggedized, it'll be about twice the cost. And then they have like their extreme environment stuff, where literally you can put this like outside in the Antarctic and it'll survive. And it's literally like 10x the cost, right? Like literally the ruggedization cost money, right? Anyways, this company called Planet Labs is like, well, you know what? Sending crap up into space has gotten more and more inexpensive. So what if instead of focusing on ruggedizing equipment, what if we just ship a hell of a lot more up there and just have expected losses, right? So if you put one satellite into space, you want 0% error rate. You want 0% failure rate. If you put 100 satellites into space, you might have a 20% or even a 50% failure rate. Might actually be acceptable. You still got 50 satellites working. Hey, that's not too bad, right? And so that's what we went for, and it's really cool. They have this whole constellation of surveillance satellites they put up there, basically using more or less off-the-shelf components in order to build those satellites. And so that's one of the things to consider, again, in the modern world as we go forward, is that this technology has just become, you know, again, I can sit here, I can beat on this. I'm not going to lick it because probably get like poisoning or whatever. But anyways, right? You see me flipping around these computer things and all that all the time. And I mean, everybody basically expects that it will work. Again, remember when my mom got a 286 computer back in the day, we literally could not have liquid in the same room as that computer. right? So things have changed. And so that's what becomes interesting. Again, we take a look at the war in Ukraine and them using DJI drones and them using a lot of off-the-shelf electronic components to kill people. To kill people. It's like, wow, did you know consumer-grade equipment is actually pretty damn good to kill people? And so it becomes curious now, right? When consumer-grade equipment is up to snuff for ruggedized-ish environments, maybe it's got to be tweaked a little bit. It'll be curious to see as more and more of these technology companies try to get into that world. So again, Microsoft previously, they had their Future Warrior Initiative program. They tried to use HoloLens for soldiers. I wish I had videos for that. Can you imagine a fucking 18-year-old grunt with a fucking HoloLens in the middle of the jungle? That would have been hilarious. Anyways, they tried before. But the curious thing there was, again, it's still Microsoft big, right? So what's interesting with this is you have Anduril. So Anduril, if you don't know, is a company that was created by Lucky Palmer after he got booted out of Meta, Facebook, years ago. And basically his idea is, again, basically being the Henry Ford of military equipment. So incredibly simple, relatively inexpensive, easy to maintain, devices of death, essentially. Again, what's it called? They want mass. They want affordable mass. And again, just think about how fucked up the world is nowadays. Like, this is literally what they are selling on is affordable mass. The concept in the next war, like an AI drone type war, that you're literally just going to be flinging so much explosive at each other with just the hope that enough of your explosive will get through their defensive arrays that you'll be able to kill somebody. It's just like, oh my God, like literally they're like cruise missiles, like a $10,000 cruise missile. Anybody can buy a cruise missile. That's going to be interesting. You want to see some interesting Second Amendment fights? When you start getting militias in the United States trying to buy Anduril cruise missiles because they're now affordable. That's the thing, like militias, right? If a cruise missile costs $20 million, you don't have to worry about the legal implications of a militia member in the United States owning a cruise missile because they don't got that much money. What happens when militias in the United States can go fund me cruise missiles? Oh, the future is going to be so much stupider than we ever imagined. We thought we were going to get flying cars, and instead we got GoFundMe for cruise missiles. Anyways. This partnership, to quote, going back, this partnership comes at a pivotal moment in the evolution of national defense. America's national security has benefited from the U.S. technological leadership at every phase of the computing revolution, from the first microchips and the PCs to today's internet and mobile devices. As a new era of computing takes shape built atop AI and body-worn devices, Meta and Anduril are committed to maintaining America's technological edge while reinforcing our economic and national security. And so again, remember, for any of you non-Americans, I'm not going to call you foreign, because wherever you're at, you're from you. Any non-Americans right now, realize when you open up Facebook, you are directly supporting the U.S. military. Just got to put that on the table. Let's see here. Quote, Meta has spent the last decade building AI and AR to enable the computing platform of the future. That failed miserably, said Mark Zuckerberg, founder and CEO of Meta. Quote, we're proud to partner with Anduril to help bring these technologies to the American service members that protect our interests at home and abroad. Question from the Aspie in the back. Yes. What are those interests anyway? I'm just going to put this out there. We had the longest war in American history in Afghanistan, and the Taliban now control Afghanistan. Just going to put that out there. We had, how long, 10 years or whatever, almost 10 years in Iraq. And we are literally told by our own politicians that Iran has more control over Iraq now than it did before we went into Iraq. So, again, I would just like to question our interests. When you say our interests, whose interests are you actually talking about here? Because I have to say, for the last little while, how our military is being used hasn't comported with my interests. Stop killing the brown people for no goddamn reason. Just saying. Anyways. Quote, I am glad to be working with Meta once again, said Palmer Luckey, founder of Anduril. Quote, of all the areas where dual-use technology, and again, think about this for dealing with China, right? We are sanctioning China for dual-use technology that's been sold other places. They are literally doing a blog post saying that Meta's technology is going to be dual-use. Can make a difference for America. This is the one I am most excited about. My mission has long been to turn warfighters into technomancers, and the products we are building with Meta do just that. Quote, the world is entering a new era of computing that will give people access to limitless intelligence and extend their senses and perception in ways that have never been possible before, said Andrew Bosworth, CTO of Meta. Quote, our national security benefits enormously from American industry bringing these technologies to life. Now again, think about this with Meta. And again, this is one of my big problems with Meta. My big problems with Mark Zuckerberg is he did not make a lot of money off of Facebook and then invest in WhatsApp and invest in Instagram and invest in Oculus, right? He's wrapping all of this into one company. So here's the thing, right? When you have biometric identification in Facebook, when you have biometrics and other things and things like Instagram, when it's tracking behavior, when it's figuring out emotion, semantic analysis, and all of that kind of stuff, right? That is Meta. That is Facebook, the company. And Facebook, the company that is using your interactions on their platform can now use what is learned from that for their military equipment development. And one of the questions that has to be asked is, where does it end? Where is the wall? Again, this is my bigger problem with a lot of these technology companies, is where the fuck is the wall, right? Because think about this. If Facebook, right, has your profile, has your friends, has all of this information about how you interact with the world, and then they're literally building XR systems to help the warfighter, where does the software end and the data begin? How hard would it be to flip a switch and now that warfighter going into Mosul or wherever the hell they're going to send these poor bastards next time literally isn't just doing the normal AI, face recognition stuff, but it's actually able to pull from data sources that Facebook already has. Again, I think this is a bad idea. I think this is a bad idea for Facebook. What the hell do I know? I'm in my basement. He's one of the wealthiest human beings in the world. Expanding the ecosystem. These joint mixed reality capabilities will integrate seamlessly with Anduril's Lattice platform, the company's AI-powered command and control system that integrates valuable data from thousands of sources to provide real-time battlefield intelligence. And again, what does a battlefield look like during the war on terrorism? Is it still going on? I'm not even sure if the war on terrorism is still going on. I think it's still going on. But again, what does that look like in modern warfare? And again, pulling in information from Facebook or whatever else. Let's see here. This integration will transform how warfighters see, sense, and integrate battlefield information, providing immersive technology solutions that enhance tactical decision-making in combat scenarios. For Meta, the partnership represents a significant expansion into support for the U.S. government technology adoption of its cutting-edge technology. The collaboration builds on Meta's existing Reality Labs investments and its work supporting adoption of its Llama open-source AI models for national security use by the U.S. and its closest allies. Anduril and Meta have already jointly submitted a white paper as a team for SBMC Next, formerly IVAS Next, since the Army's innovation of the original IVAS, Integrated Visual Augmentation System, contract from Microsoft to Anduril. Anduril has made significant progress to transition IVAS to Soldier-Borne Mission Command from concept to demonstrated soldier-tested capability, streamlining operations, accelerating delivery timelines, and reducing costs. Software updates that used to take 180 days now reach the field in under 18 hours, and Lattice integrated IVAS headsets are in testing now. So yeah, there you go. Silicon Valley, big tech, is just jumping straight into dystopia. Why even try to sell you on utopian vision? They know they've destroyed their reputation. They know you're not ever going to trust them again. So they're just going to go full fucking dystopian, I guess. And so yeah, you have Meta and Anduril. Again, Anduril is an interesting company. I hope to try to get some more information, maybe do some interviews or such with those folks, maybe over the next year. Because again, it is that interesting idea of kind of taking like the Henry Ford model to slaughter. Like what happens when you do just mass production, right? Iteration, right? What happens when you take the agile project management style to killing people? It's definitely an interesting question, although a disturbing question. So you have Anduril, and really, if you look at Anduril, however disturbed you might be, I mean, basically, it's a competitor to Lockheed Martin. It's a competitor to all these other, big military companies. So basically, again, they're selling lower cost cruise missiles, that type of thing. They have an interesting argument around it, again, by massively decreasing the cost. The idea is that you can put more weapon systems into an environment. The idea being, again, in an AI environment, you're going to be losing weapon systems just at an insane rate, theoretically. So essentially, you're just trying to overload the enemy's systems, which is a concept. And so Anduril on its own, again, I mean, Lucky Palmer, if you're Palmer Lucky, whatever. If you ever seen him, he's a curious cat. But whatever. Again, like it is what it is. It's curious. It's interesting with Anduril is taking the Silicon Valley mindset into the world of mass slaughter is curious. But again, we have other companies doing that kind of stuff. What becomes concerning here, and I think what really becomes concerning for the future, is when you start combining consumer technology companies into these military companies. Again, we already know how god-awful Mark Zuckerberg is, right? Mark Zuckerberg is a piece of human trash, right? He works purely off the rapist mentality. And again, this is where I've said he's been dangerous for years, right? If you say no, he asks again. When you say no again, he tries to confuse you in order for you to accidentally do something. When you still say no, he says, fuck you. He doesn't give you a goddamn option. He doesn't give you the ability to consent, and he just does what the fuck he wants to do, right? We have seen time and time and time again with Mark Zuckerberg what a foul, god-awful piece of human trash he is, right? Again, the fact that Facebook would shrug off the slaughter of the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar because I guess a couple of eggs have to be broken, right? Again, and this is well fucking documented. Again, the suicides and the death of young American women because of the algorithms and how everything is pushed to so many people, right? The addiction algorithms that we know are making people depressed and isolated and the rest of it, right? And all of this, right? He does not give a shit how much evil he puts into the world. He does not give a shit if he destroys the society his corporation has gained its wealth from, as long as he can get another couple of fucking dimes, right? Well, the question is, right, when we've seen, and again, you may think I'm really snarky here, you may think I'm really angry here, whatever. Just take a look at the brass tacks of how he's run Facebook, how he's run Instagram. WhatsApp has seemed to be pretty good, but how he's run these companies, right? Again, constantly going after your private information, constantly invading, constantly doing these things. And now imagine with that entire data store, everything that he knows about every user on Facebook. And that can be used to build systems specifically designed to kill people. And that's what the military does. You're not destroying a tank. You're not blowing up an aircraft. You're not sinking a boat. You're slaughtering people. That's the point. You slaughter enough of the other side so at some point they give up. And again, it's real world. I'm not Pollyannish. Again, that's why Anduril kind of gets a pass from me. It's creepy. It's dystopian. It's the world we're in. But think about this. Mark Zuckerberg, with everything that he currently has, he's trying to get in that world, right? The pretend alpha dog. We've seen this with him lately. I'm an alpha dog, right? He wants to be a fucking dog. He doesn't want to be a human being. Remember, all these sniveling little fucking alpha poodles out there are telling you they don't want to be a human being. They don't want to be a man. They want to be a dog. Anyways, so with everything that they already have, using that to create extended reality for the warfighter, and then what you have to be thinking about is that if this is actually a profit generator, think about what Mark Zuckerberg has been willing to do up until this point in order to drive revenue for Meta. Now imagine if this system for killing folks is a profit center. What happens to Facebook? What happens to WhatsApp? What happens to Instagram? Again, the interesting thing with the NSA, again, that whole argument before with the NSA, and then wiretapping, but they only took, metadata, but then people explained exactly how valuable metadata can be. Again, think about Mark Zuckerberg's tap into the activity of billions of people on the planet. Again, think about this for a second. Are we banning? What the fuck happened to TikTok? Anyways, let's just say for a second we're actually banning TikTok. Again, one of the many things I get confused with the Trump administration. Are we, aren't we? I don't know. We are banning TikTok. Theoretically, supposedly, maybe. Because it's a threat by the Chinese government, because they can collect our information, right? India has banned TikTok from India because of their worries, right? Now think about this. Think about if you're a European. Think about if you're an Indian. Think about if you're a Middle Easterner. You know how much we value Middle Easterners' lives. Oh, did we kill your dad? Oh, did we blow up your dad? We didn't mean to blow up your dad. Here, take one of these. I think. What is that? Oh, this is a nickel. Yeah, I think we're gonna pay reparations for blowing up your dad. Here's an American nickel. I think that's about what your dad's life was worth. Eli, that's horrible. That's mean. We weren't offered a nickel. Anyways, again, if you're a Middle Easterner, think about this shit. You know how much we value your lives. We don't. We don't give a fuck. Right? 1 million Iraqis died for the illegal war in Iraq. And again, Bush is off painting weird-ass pictures. Cheney became a gazillionaire, right? Americans made a tremendous amount of money off the absolute destruction of Iraq. They didn't even get us what we thought we were getting, right? A million Iraqis are dead because of the Iraq War. And again, there were no weapons of mass destruction. There wasn't anything else. It was a completely and utterly illegal war that led to the death of 1 million Iraqis. If you are in the Middle East, how in God's name can you ever log in to Facebook again? How can you ever log into WhatsApp again? How can you ever log into Instagram again? Your activity on these platforms are going to be directly supporting the American warfighter that are going to defend my interests. Apparently, I've been told, apparently I don't know what my interests are. If you're in the Middle East, how can you ever log into Facebook again? And so I think this is going to be one of those things that we have to really be considering and be thinking with a lot of this stuff. So yeah, it'll be curious. So all those Meta employees, yeah, do I have any Meta employees to watch? Probably not. Yeah, you gonna put apartheid? You gonna put apartheid in your e-signatures? Probably not, because you don't actually care, do you? What do you think about this? What do you think about Meta and Anduril tying themselves together? What do you think about them coming together again for this extended reality? What do you think about a company like Facebook building extended reality for people whose jobs are to kill other people? That's what soldiers do. That's what soldiers do. The entire point of being a soldier is throwing lead down range. You don't just actually pick up lead and throw it down range, right? What do you think about Meta being involved with that? And again, in this modern world where we hear about how evil China is, because China is selling dual-use equipment to Russia or whatever else, and all this, how does Meta's involvement then with Anduril and the rest of it, how does that comport into our worldview? So yeah, there we go. There we go. Oh, we tried to make the world a better place. I'm not saying we succeeded. Again, when YouTube came out and Facebook came out and Twitter came out, I just want you to understand, we thought it was going to be better. We thought it was going to be, we're like, wow, this is going to lead to an amazing world. And yeah, it did not work out that way. But the thing that I want you to understand for the young folks is we thought it was going to lead us to a better world. How weird is it we are now in a time period that even the technology professionals are just like 100% on the dystopian train. Not even going for the better world, just going straight to the we're all fucked. Oh, it's a hell of a thing. So anyways, put your thoughts down below. What do you think about all this? And with that, see y'all later.